Hi friends, we're going to use what we just learned about shapes to make our very own shape train. So all we're going to need is a piece of paper and some coloring tools to do that, to get started. So the first thing we're going to do is just pick whatever color you want from your coloring supplies. I'm going to start with this pretty fuchsia color, and we're going to draw some of the different parts of the train using just some of the shapes that we know. So the first shape that I want you to draw is a square somewhere in the middle part of your paper. Make sure your paper is going long ways this way. And I want you to do your very best drawing a square. And a square has 4 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. So take your time and try to draw a square. And then we're going to draw another shape next to the square, and we're going to draw what we call a rectangle. Now a rectangle has 4 lines just like a square, but it's a little bit longer. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it looks a little bit longer. Then I'm going to take another color and I'm going to draw another square. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 3 squares or boxes for my train to represent the different parts of my train. I'm going to pick one more color and I'm going to draw one more shape. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's kind of like a rectangular shape. Okay, so now that we have some different squares and rectangles to represent the different parts of the cars of our train, let's try another shape. Let's work with maybe a triangle. So this is going to be the front of my train. So that way this will tell you that my train is going this direction. So if I put a triangle, it has 3 sides. 1, 2, and then there's one right here. That's 3. Has 3 sides and 3 corners, and that will show you this is going to be the engine of my train, and my train is going this way. Okay, then I'm going to use another color and I'm going to draw a tiny rectangle on the top of my engine car, and this is going to be the smokestack. This is going to be where the smoke comes out of the front of the train. And then on top of my smokestack, I'm going to use another color because I just like switching my colors. I'm going to draw a tiny little triangle to be the top of my smokestack. Okay. And then on each car, pick whatever color you want. And I want you to draw either rectangles or squares to be the windows for those cars. Okay. I'm going to keep switching my colors. I'm going to draw a square. And then I draw a line in the middle, and a line going side to side, and that represents the window pane. And maybe this one has 2 squares for the windows, and then a little window pane in the middle, just like that. And then my engine, where the engineer sits, has to have a window too. So we're going to put a window on that. And so we drew rectangles and squares for the windows. Okay, so now that we have those drawn on there, we're going to, and I didn't even mention that I spaced them out because railroad cars are separated and they're connected. So make sure you put a little space between them. So now that we have them drawn, you can take your crayons, and I would love for you to color them in to the best of your ability. Now I apologize, my camera gets the wiggles when I start coloring, but I'm going to put this on fast speed and I'm going to color this in now. Okay, now that we have it colored in, I want you to use your coloring tools, and I want you to draw some of the other shapes that we may not see here on top of each of one of the cars to show that our train is carrying some of these shapes that we're learning about. So on this car, I'm going to draw some circles. So this car on this train carries lots and lots of circles. So we're going to pile them up just like that. And then on the next car, maybe this one is carrying some ovals. We haven't seen any ovals yet, so that one's gonna carry some ovals. And then the last one, let's do, maybe some hearts. Practice drawing your hearts and coloring those in. Or whatever shape you can think of, or whatever shape you're really good at drawing. Okay, I'm gonna add a few more on top because this car is coloring lots and lots of hearts. All right, once you have your cars drawn and your shapes added to each car that it's carrying, we're gonna draw in the train track. We're gonna add that in now. So if you have a dark colored crayon or marker, we're gonna use that to draw the train tracks. So to draw the train tracks, we're gonna draw a line that goes from one side of our paper all the way over to the other. You want it to touch both sides. Then I'm gonna draw another line just below my train cars. It does the same thing. So we have two lines. And then I'm gonna draw some straight lines going all the way across. And this will represent our train track. Now our train rolls on wheels. Our train doesn't currently have any wheels, so we're gonna draw on some wheels. And wheels are a circle. So each car has two wheels. So I'm gonna draw one and I'm gonna color it in, and two. This car has two wheels. And notice my wheels touch my train track, so it can roll right on the train track. 1, 2, 1, 2. And then the engine. 1 and 2. So we've used circle shapes to be the wheels of our train. Now that you've got your train, your shapes that they're carrying, and your train track, we need to draw some fun things in the background. And this is where you can just make some creative artistic choices. But my train is going through the countryside. And so I think my train is gonna see some mountains. So I'm gonna draw some mountains in the background. And the mountains have a nice point on them, like the shape of a triangle. And then I would take my time and I would color each one of my mountains in. But because I want to show you the rest, we're going to pretend like I colored in all my mountains. And then I have all this paper down here where I could add in some other shapes or things that we might see on a train ride. So maybe there's a big lake or a river running next to my train track, and maybe there's some fish. Maybe you could draw all kinds of fish in your pond or your river, and you could color that in, right? Maybe there's other animals you might see on your train trip. Maybe you would see a bear or a coyote or a wolf. You could try to draw that. I'm gonna add a little bit of grass, maybe some grass around my train track, give it lots of detail, and fill it up with lots of creative ideas of things that you might see on your train trip. So I hope you had fun making your shape train. Bye, guys.